Anyone else hit? You good?
Hello, Juan. How are you?
Good yourself?
Good, good. So I just want to, the movie kind of opens up some pretty interesting questions, definitely in regards to like mental health as well. We're first introduced to Guapo as the group's contact in Venezuela, and he's just casually eating cake in like a slaughterhouse with like bodies all around him.
No, spoiler alert.
Can you tell us what it was like working alongside Frank? What makes for a good scene partner? And what do you think Guapo and Gunner's past kind of looks like to be kind of so like desensitized as special ops?
Well, number one, I'm gonna say I think this intro of my character in my 20 plus year career is the best intro I've ever had. Just because it's so bizarre. It's so I don't even know what to say. Maybe like you say, is desensitized, right? So what makes for a good scene partner? Someone that's professional, that has the same values, the same work ethic that you have. Like, I don't know, when you hear the stories of so and so, was 2 hours late, so and so was 4 hours late, like that would kill me. That would kill me because it would automatically set us apart in what I consider to be a correct work ethic, right? Like we were talking before this about how the most valuable thing you have is time. So when you work along people that understand that and do not take their time for granted and therefore don't take your time for granted, that for me is already a great team partner. And Frank is a great team partner because he gets it. He knows what his audience wants. He knows what type of film he's doing. He knows how to work himself. He knows, he really understands this, all the process of making a movie. And that is a pleasure to watch and is a pleasure to be a part of. And what's the past between these two? I don't know, but oh man, I think I would like to. I would watch that spinoff for
I'd like to
sure.
know more about that too.
Oh yeah, I have no idea, but we got that look. Like man, these guys have been through stuff. Now, when you ask me like, what does it take to be this desensitized? I wonder if it's kind of the same thing that happens with doctors. It's like they're open heart surgery and they're talking about the Friday night. I think you also it's like a defense mechanism against the reality of something so crude and so awful, like somebody losing their life, right? Then I think it also takes like being able. I hope this doesn't sound horrible, but like looking at the big picture of things, right? And it's like, okay, I have to get from point A to point B, and this is what I have to do. And it is really important that I get to point B. It's not an easy job to do, but as they say, I guess somebody's got to do it, right? And somebody has to make hard calls, tough decisions, and that will eventually you either learn how to live with that and survive it, or it's going to drive you nuts.
And the film is set in Venezuela. You were raised in Spain, an Argentinian father. You're Colombian. You lived in Argentina. You lived in Bogota. You studied at the Lee Strasberg in New York. So
Yeah.
you've been everywhere. I guess for you, how has this kind of prepared you, and what's your like experience with like working with different accents?
Well, it turns out I also lived in Venezuela for 6 years. So it's kind of natural, but also I think that's the job of the actor, right? Like, of course, like some things come very natural to me. I can play Argentinian accent, I can play Venezuelan accent, I can play Spanish accent with because I live there. Like I know them, right? But if tomorrow, somebody tells me like, listen, you have to make, this guy's from Boston. I'm gonna have to work my butt to make that accent, right? But that's what we do. I mean, that's kind of what we have to do. Now, I've always thought that as an actor, our library, where we take all the tools from is the world. So the more world we know, the more people we know, the more experiences we engage in, the more tools we have. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, I don't know, let's say I'll go bungee jumping on a trip, right? And the character, he might not be bungee jumping, but I might use that same rush, that adrenaline, like that. What I felt there, I may translate that to a different scene, right? Where this character, I don't know, is he's having to fight someone. It's just, I just feel that the more you live, the more tools you have in your bag to play different characters.
And I found it super interesting. So your wife is a journalist, Monica, and you guys actually participate in campaigns about like human and animal rights. I guess being that even though this isn't like an action movie, it kind of centers on a little bit of political conflict, obviously what's going on in Venezuela, political corruption and greed. What kind of questions do you hope the film can kind of maybe open up about current affairs?
I think it's an action movie. First of all, I think John, the director, once he really started, diving into the border conflict between Colombia and Venezuela, he very wisely, kind of pulled that into the story and said, like, you know what? Let's make the action, but let's also like undermine a little bit. Let's say something, right? And for example, I was before you, like a half an hour ago, I was talking to a Venezuelan journalist, and she was like, "Oh my God, thank you. This means so much to me," right? And there I am, like thinking, all I did was catch a phrase here and there, but definitely when you work and you try to make something authentic, like somebody's gonna resonate with it, right? Now, I don't know if it's a political film. Like, I don't know if we have that right, to be honest with you. Like, it's not Syriana. Like, we're not diving into the conflict that deep. It's still an action film.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as you would like to always have an important message, um, I'm always kind of content with the idea that at least it will create some kind of conversation. That's the little grain of sand that I guess I try to put into all of my characters, right? It's like, how can I make this multidimensional so there's just not one message, or there's like the main message, but there's something else behind. Somebody's going to catch it. Like, not everybody has to catch it, right? But somebody's going to catch it. So that's, I don't know, I guess that's what I try to do.
Yeah, like there's a brief moment, I guess I don't want to mention, but you do see a lot of like even the people there being desensitized. So that kind of caught my attention.
Yeah, but as I say, like, if you go into a hospital, like, don't even think about a movie hospital.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into a real hospital, like, I am baffled by the way an ER nurse will behave. Hey, I've been into the ER myself, like broken bones, stitches, stuff, and they're like, just another day in the office. So as I say, like, imagine if every one of those patients were a personal drama in their life, like, it would be unbearable.
Toll, yeah.
Absolutely.
And looking at other roles you've played, you were in Narcos, you were in the military drama 6. I guess, how have these kind of helped you prepare for this in terms of action and like any extensive training with like gunplay?
Especially 6. 6 was a big game changer in the way I prepared for military roles, right? So for season 1, they sent us to this place called SEAL Fit in San Diego, where they prepare people who actually are attempting to be Navy SEALs. And it was brutal. I'm telling you, it was insane. Now, not only did we have that, we were constantly on set with former Navy SEALs. And one of their requirements, for example, was that they made us wear real gear all the time. So, imagine like any kind of condition during hours and hours, and you were wearing a real, bulletproof vest, a real helmet, a real gun with no bullets, of course, but, prepare for that. And we were continually training. Every month we would go, we would practice, and we would handle, like, it didn't stop. And that went on like for 2 years between season 1 and season 2. So as of today, I could say that I have pretty good training.
Yeah, that sounds intense. Like firefighters, like they have to wear all that gear and be able to do these crazy things.
Oh my God. When you think, you can jump from point A to point B, you have all that gear, and suddenly you're like midair, you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to get there. But not only that, you have to carry, your mate, if he gets shot, you're gonna have to carry him. So we have to practice all that over and over and over again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Juan.
Thank you.
Congrats on the film.
Thank you very much. Bye.
It's the only way to the extraction point. We have to go right through it. Julie and David, you stay in the middle. I'm gonna take the point west. Go up, get the 6. Let's go to the water.
Vámonos.